Money did not begin as power. It began as a tool. Over time, that tool changed, not because money changed, but because the systems around it did. Every law, every crisis, every expansion left its mark. To understand where we are today, we need to understand how we got here.
Okay, so have you ever really stopped to think about where money comes from? I mean, not from a government or a bank, but the actual original idea of it. We're going to get into it because the real story is way simpler and honestly way more interesting than you'd probably guess.
Right off the bat, let's get one thing straight. Forget about power, forget about control. The very first money wasn't a tool for the powerful, nope. It was a tool for everybody else, and it was invented just to make life a little bit easier. So to really understand why money was even necessary, we have to imagine a world that didn't have it. Let's go way back to the age of barter. This is a time when all of society ran on direct, person-to-person trade. Barter itself is beautiful, you know? It's simple. If you make tools and you need some bread, you just find a baker who needs a new hammer. Done. In a small village where everybody knows each other, this works perfectly. It's direct, personal, and it gets the job done. But what happens when that village starts to grow? Well, as societies got bigger and more complex, that super simple system, it started to crack. The very thing that made barter so great, its simplicity, ended up being its biggest problem. And there you have it. That's the killer question. It's what economists call the coincidence of wants. You have something awesome to trade, but the person who has the grain you desperately need, they couldn't care less about your tools. And just like that, the whole trade grinds to a halt. You're stuck. You can see the breakdown right here. On the left, it's a perfect match. Easy. But on the right, you've got a more realistic picture of a growing town. All these mismatched needs, it's like a traffic jam. The whole system just clogs up. And the consequence of that was huge. I mean, if people can't trade easily, they can't specialize in what they're good at, they can't innovate, the entire economic engine of a society just sputters out, and progress itself just stalls. Humanity needed a new tool, and fast. And that new tool, it didn't come from some king declaring it. It bubbled up from the community, organically. This was the first real type of money, common items or commodities that pretty much everyone agreed had some kind of value. And we're talking about things like shells, salt, cattle, even grain. These things became money for one simple reason. Enough people said, yeah, I'll accept that as payment. It was nothing more than a social agreement, a handshake deal across an entire culture. So this is the really crucial part. There was no government, no authority forcing anyone to use salt as money. It just worked because it solved that big barter problem. It was a practical, bottom-up innovation. Really, it was a technology of cooperation. But of course, commodity money had its own headaches. I mean, your savings of grain could rot, your cattle could get sick. So pretty naturally, people started gravitating towards something a lot more practical, a lot more durable, metals. And the advantages are just obvious, right? Metals don't go bad. You can easily break a piece of gold into smaller bits, and it doesn't lose its value. I mean, try making change for a cow. It's not pretty. Metals were simply a better technology for trade. A serious upgrade. So, this wasn't really about bling or royalty, not at first. Gold and silver became the standard because of pure, simple utility. They were the most efficient, the most reliable, and the most convenient solution to the problem of exchange. But in solving that problem, this new tool created this profound shift in how humans behaved. For the first time in history, value wasn't perishable. You didn't have to use your grain before it spoiled. You could hold on to a piece of gold pretty much forever. Wealth could now be stored across time. And this right here, this is a huge turning point in our story. The ability to just store value, it sounds so simple, but it completely rewired how people thought about everything: work, savings, the future. It's such a simple but powerful line. When wealth can wait, it begins to change how people behave. Think about that. Planning for the long term, saving up for big projects, accumulating capital. All of these modern ideas, they start right here, with a piece of metal that doesn't rot. Now, it's also super important to understand just how different this system was from what we have now. There were no central banks, no one controlling the supply. Wealth came directly from what you produced or traded. And, get this, time didn't magically make you more money through things like compound interest. It was a totally neutral playing field. But you know how it goes. Every solution seems to create a new problem. As trade routes got longer and more ambitious, this beautifully simple system ran headfirst into a very real, very dangerous roadblock.
Just imagine you're a merchant. You're trying to haul a fortune in heavy gold and silver across hundreds of miles. It's slow, it's expensive, and you're basically a giant walking target for every bandit on the road. The system was just getting too clunky for a world that was starting to connect. So, what was the next step?
Well, the next great leap in the story of money, it didn't happen in Europe. It happened in China. And it was based on an idea that would permanently separate the concept of value from a physical thing you could hold in your hand. That single innovation, well, it would set the stage for the entire financial world as we know it today.
History does not give instructions, it gives perspective. Money itself remains neutral. Time and interest decide whether it works for you or against you. Money did not begin as power. It began as a tool. Over time, that tool changed, not because money changed, but because the systems around it did. Every law, every crisis, every expansion left its mark. To understand where we are today, we need to understand how we got here.